Hey Leslie, hope you're hanging in there with gobs of clients that I'm sure you have and are probably swamped. But hey, wanted to send you a quick video reply here on your work in week 4, which is great. And also just check in with you because I know you're totally overwhelmed probably with all the clients you're seeing and your program at Fuller. But if you find yourself in the asynchronous group because partly at least none of the Zoom discussion group times ever work for you, let me know because I want to adjust those to make it possible for you to participate in a live discussion group if you want to, if you can actually squeeze that in. If it's just too much right now, no problem, no pressure. But if my changing like the times, days, and times would help you, drop me a reply here or send me a note or something so I can do that. I think what I wanted to say here was I wanted to just like beam right into what you say at the end of your response in Form 2 here. Not fall into the trap of misnaming or obscuring the vulnerable. And then you go on, I think, to unpack this, where you say discipleship and revelation are understood not as fixed traits tied to certain bodies or groups, but as relational realities that unfold through encounter with Jesus. Just excellent. And I think you're getting at how our language, our patterns of living can effectively obscure people so that we don't see them, can obscure us so that we are not seen. And the people who tend to, I think, suffer that the most are people that are vulnerable because they are not kind of valuable enough to the existing sort of patterns of living to be made visible. They are shunted to the side, just routinely overlooked or bypassed because of what cannot be seen in them as like some kind of potential or whatever. And, training as a disciple of Jesus is about refusing those temptations, resisting those patterns, and being sort of moved by the compassion of Jesus to be compassionate ourselves and thus to sort of press into people's lives, stories, bodies, conditions, experiences, so that we can see them more and be moved by their lives more as a result. So I know with what you're describing with friends and relatives and others from El Salvador that are kind of bearing some of the brunt of the current sort of repression and kind of fascist takeover, um, you're familiar with how easily laws, terms, categories, whatever, make people less visible. Um, and what I think we want to do is sort of press into those realities, which I know for you can't even avoid. It's like visceral, but also allow them to become sort of occasions of God's self-disclosure so that analogously we see um, how they embody something that people experience in all kinds of ways in our lives. So good stuff. Love just how you drew from the material for this. I don't think I want to say too much about what you say on the first forum. Not much to add. I guess I like where you seized on this, like these 12 are not idealized. And I think if we're honest, that's how Christianity often works in a lot of our settings. It's an idealization of human life. And then if you don't conform to that ideal, then maybe you don't belong or something like that. And that's just totally alien to uh, what following Jesus is about in this story. And it's not coincidental that idealizing Christianity, Christian people, is one way that people and we ourselves are invisible. We grow unavailable to ourselves and to others because we can't see ourselves as we are, can't see others as they are. This actually builds on a lot of testimony in the prophets about what makes Israel blind, um, that I wish I'd probably spent a little more time on in what I wrote about this stuff. But it's crazy to think that we can be blind to what or who is right in front of us. And so hopefully our Christian discipleship is about uh, working at that proneness to be blind in that way. And so to grow in our sight of one another, which is, of course, to see Jesus himself more than we currently are. Thanks again for good work. Hope you're hanging in there. I know life's crazy. And let me know if I can do anything with the Zoom scheduling. See you in week 5.